Donald Trump's victory in the 2024 U.S. presidential election sent shockwaves across the globe. The unexpected win has reignited debates and discussions about the future direction of the United States and its role on the global stage. His return to the White House after a tumultuous first term has left many world leaders and analysts cautiously optimistic, hoping for a more stable and predictable administration this time around, while others remain deeply concerned about the potential for renewed conflicts and diplomatic tensions. The political landscape is rife with uncertainty. The global stage is set for potential shifts in alliances, trade agreements, and security strategies. Countries are reevaluating their positions and preparing for possible changes in U.S. foreign policy. The world watches closely, wondering what a Trump presidency will mean for the international order. Will it bring about a new era of cooperation or further division? Trump's first term was marked by a departure from traditional U.S. foreign policy. His unconventional approach left a lasting impact on international relations. His America First agenda, often perceived as protectionist and isolationist, led to trade wars and strained relations with long-standing allies. The economic repercussions were felt worldwide. His unpredictable approach to diplomacy and his penchant for unilateral action created a sense of uncertainty on the world stage. Many nations were left scrambling to adapt to the new reality. The global reaction to Trump's victory is a mix of apprehension and pragmatism. Some leaders are preparing for the worst, while others are cautiously hopeful for positive engagement. Many leaders have expressed a desire for cooperation and dialogue. They recognize the need to work together to address global challenges. They acknowledge the importance of the U.S. as a global leader and economic powerhouse. The stability of the global economy often hinges on U.S. policies and actions. However, there is an underlying current of caution. Memories of past disruptions linger, and there is a wariness about what the future holds. The world remembers the disruptions of Trump's first term. The trade wars, diplomatic spats, and economic instability left a mark that is hard to forget. The challenges ahead are significant, from climate change and pandemics to economic inequality and geopolitical tensions. The international community faces a multitude of complex issues. From climate change and pandemics to economic inequality and geopolitical tensions. These issues require coordinated efforts and strong leadership. Addressing these challenges requires global cooperation and leadership. The world looks to the United States for guidance and support in navigating these turbulent times. The world waits to see what role the United States under Donald Trump will play in this new era. Will it lead with strength and wisdom, or will it retreat into isolation? Only time will tell. Nowhere is the anticipation and anxiety surrounding Trump's return felt more acutely than in the Middle East, particularly in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This region has long been a focal point of international tension, and the potential shift in U.S. policy under Trump adds another layer of complexity. Israel has welcomed Trump's victory with open arms, viewing him as a steadfast ally. His administration's previous actions have left a lasting impression on the Israeli populace, who see him as a champion of their national interests. The close bond between Trump and former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, cemented by policies like the relocation of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, has fueled optimism in Israel. This move was seen as a historic recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, a decision that resonated deeply with many Israelis. Israelis anticipate a continuation of pro-Israel policies. They believe that Trump's return could mean further diplomatic and military support, which they deem crucial for their security and regional standing. They hope for unwavering support for their regional interests, particularly in their ongoing conflict with Iran. The threat posed by Iran's nuclear ambitions and regional influence remains a significant concern for Israel. The possibility of renewed U.S. involvement in the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, however, remains a point of contention. While some Israelis are hopeful, others are skeptical about the prospects of achieving lasting peace. In contrast, Palestinians viewed Trump's return with deep apprehension. His previous tenure was marked by decisions that they felt marginalized their cause and aspirations for statehood. Trump's policies, widely perceived as biased towards Israel, alienated the Palestinian leadership. The recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital and the subsequent embassy move were seen as a severe blow to their claims and rights. The prospect of a Trump administration reigniting the peace process under similar terms fills them with little hope. Many Palestinians fear that any negotiations would be skewed in favor of Israel, leaving their demands unmet. The Palestinian Authority has expressed concerns that a Trump presidency could further erode the possibility of a two-state solution. They worry that continued U.S. support for Israeli settlements could make the creation of a viable Palestinian state increasingly difficult. They fear a hardening of U.S. policy that would solidify Israel's control over Palestinian territories. This could lead to further annexation and diminish the chances of achieving a fair and just resolution to the conflict. The future of the peace process, already fragile, hangs precariously in the balance. Both sides are bracing for what comes next, with hope and fear dividing them as they await the potential changes that a Trump presidency could bring to the region. Russia's response to Trump's victory has been measured, reflecting the complex and often strained relationship between the two countries. The Kremlin's reaction is a calculated one, aiming to navigate the intricate web of international diplomacy and domestic expectations. While acknowledging the election results, Russian officials have refrained from expressing overt enthusiasm. This cautious stance underscores the delicate nature of their interactions with the United States, where every gesture is scrutinized and every word weighed for its potential impact. The legacy of election interference allegations, sanctions, and ongoing tensions over Ukraine continues to cast a shadow over U.S.-Russia relations. These issues have created a backdrop of mistrust and suspicion that both nations must contend with as they navigate their future interactions. Moscow will be closely observing Trump's approach to Russia in his second term. The Kremlin is particularly interested in how the new administration will handle existing sanctions and whether there will be any shifts in U.S. foreign policy that could benefit Russia. Any perceived softening of stance towards Russia, particularly on issues like sanctions or NATO expansion, would be met with cautious optimism. Russian officials are aware that any changes in U.S. policy could have significant implications for their own strategic interests. However, a return to the unpredictable and often confrontational dynamics of Trump's first term could further escalate tensions. The international community remains watchful, as any misstep could lead to a rapid deterioration of relations. Ukraine, on the other hand, greets Trump's return with a mix of hope and uncertainty. The country is at a crossroads, balancing its aspirations for closer ties with the West against the reality of its ongoing conflict with Russia-backed separatists. While acknowledging Trump's past praise for Russian President Vladimir Putin, Ukrainian leaders cling to the hope of continued U.S. support in their ongoing conflict with Russia-backed separatists. They are acutely aware that U.S. backing is crucial for their efforts to maintain sovereignty and resist external pressures. Ukraine's security concerns are paramount. The nation is on high alert, constantly monitoring the situation at the border and preparing for any potential escalations. They are looking for reassurances from the Trump administration that U.S. support for their sovereignty and territorial integrity will remain unwavering. Ukrainian officials are actively seeking diplomatic engagements to solidify this support and ensure that their strategic interests are protected. The balance of power in Eastern Europe remains delicate, and Trump's approach to Russia will have significant implications for the region's stability. The international community watches closely, understanding that the actions of these key players will shape the geopolitical landscape for years to come. Across the Asia-Pacific region, leaders are emphasizing the importance of maintaining strong alliances and open communication with the United States. Countries like Japan, South Korea, and Australia, long-standing U.S. allies, are seeking to reaffirm their security partnerships in the face of a rising China and an uncertain regional security environment. China, the region's economic powerhouse, is approaching Trump's return with a mix of pragmatism and caution. The trade war initiated during Trump's first term, while eased in subsequent years, left its mark on the bilateral relationship. Beijing will be closely watching Trump's trade policies, seeking to protect its economic interests while navigating the complexities of U.S.-China relations. Southeast Asian nations, caught between the competing influences of the U.S. and China, are emphasizing the need for a balanced and inclusive regional order. They are wary of being forced to choose sides in a potential U.S.-China rivalry. The Asia-Pacific region is crucial to U.S. strategic interests. The Trump administration's approach to China, its commitment to regional alliances, and its engagement with Southeast Asia will shape the future of this dynamic and increasingly important part of the world. Mexico and Canada, the United States' closest neighbors and partners in the North American Free Trade Agreement, are approaching Trump's return with a mix of pragmatism and apprehension. Both countries are bracing for potential challenges, particularly in the areas of trade and immigration. Mexico, in particular, is wary of a resurgence in Trump's protectionist trade policies. The renegotiation of